Howdy, howdy. How are you?
Doing very well. It's been a minute since we had our last little interview.
It has been how many years?
I think about three.
Yes, at least because I can count back to the homes I was in. And yeah, it's been at least 3 years. Yes.
I've been thinking about this whole interview.
Uh-huh.
And when I thought about it, I thought, okay, I've known her for a long time, but I don't really know that much about how you came to do what you do and how you got there. So, for all the people, because we're going to get into how many people have been seeing what you said and have reached out to you as well, but just for people who don't know you, how did you, as a black woman, become this attorney with this law firm and all this stuff that you've done? How did that come to be?
So, um my mother, I'll tell you this. My mother said from the age of 5, I knew I wanted to be an attorney. So I was originally born in Memphis, Tennessee, which is majority still predominantly black, African American. We moved to Chattanooga when I was probably about 5 or 6. Get to Chattanooga, which is East Tennessee. We went from West Tennessee to East Tennessee. It's night and day. And when we moved into the neighborhood that we moved into, it's all white neighborhood, and they immediately put up rebel flags in their windows. Oh yes, people put up moving signs that they were moving out, rebel flags. Oh yes. So we didn't move. Our neighbors were from Florida. They were Democrats. They were like, we're not going anywhere. Y'all are good. You know, if they want to move, they can move. We need some more diversity in this neighborhood anyways. Some of them did move once they realized we weren't going anywhere. So fast forward, I saw that. And I knew something wasn't right. Then I'm looking at TV, and my mom said, I turned to her one day and said, I'm going to help black men get out of jail. Because that's all I was seeing on TV. You know, it's black men being arrested, black men going to jail. And she said, and she said from that day, criminal defense attorney, criminal defense attorney, she said, and that's just what I've been saying since then. So anyways, went through high school, went through undergrad. I did pre-law in undergrad, went back to Memphis for college, went to Rhodes, graduated from there, went to law school at UT, and my focus was criminal law. Now, so that really is where there was no question that I was going to law school. There was no question that I was going to be an attorney. That was just dead set in my head. Of course, when I get to law school, criminal law is still a passion of mine, but I gained other passions in other areas of law that I really liked. But that's how I got here. And then I will say this: I was not a law student. Okay, like I had my trials and tribulations in law school. Um, in the summers, I worked with a lot of professors, just honing my skills in contracts and in essay writing and so forth. I did a study abroad to Brazil for 2 months.
Really?
Yes, that was awesome. That was awesome.
I never knew that. See, so much about you that I never knew. Okay.
There for 2 months. It was great exposure, great exposure. And we took classes there at their law school, you know, and it was just a great opportunity to learn about a different culture, what they're going through, how a lot of their politics parallel ours, how, you know, your dark skinned Brazilians are treated, you know, unfairly and discriminated against versus the light skinned Brazilians. Oh yes. Yes. The most friendly people while we were there, the favelas, the ghetto, well, they'll show sometimes on TV, you'll see like the houses that are like made out of metal on the side of the hill. Those are what you're calling your favelas. We were offered the opportunity to go in. Our professor talked to a lot of these are run by drug lords. Not gonna lie. They have the kids standing up on the rooftops with your AKs. But when I tell you it's the safest place in the city, because there they live by, if you steal, we're cutting your hand off, we're cutting your finger off. If you do this, I was safer there than I was on the streets of Rio de Janeiro. The cops, corrupt, absolutely terrible. Okay. They, of course, allow the favelas and the drug dealers to do what they do. They take their percentage every month. It's, but the favela, like, I learned and they have so much culture. Food was amazing. Gosh. But yes, it was a great experience. So anyway, fast forward, I graduate law school. Because I was working on just other skills, I did not do an internship. And unlike medical school, there's no residency. So when you get out of law school, all you got is theory. There's no experience unless you did an internship. I hadn't done an internship. So when I got out, and your big firms don't want to hire someone. One, they're looking for it to make, you got to have, B plus average GPA or higher. We want to see that you've done some internships. I didn't have any of that. I am a B student, no internships. What am I going to do? Hey, me being me, I'm going to put out my little shingle and get to work. And that's exactly what I did. So, graduated law school in 2008, moved to Nashville, didn't know anyone here.
That changed.
It did. I moved here, didn't know anyone really. Started working for the state because I needed a job. Did I get a job right off the bat? No. I graduated in May of 2008. I did not get a job until January of 2009. So I was in Nashville for however many months that is. Over 6 months. I was a hostess and server at Bricktops. That is we got the discounts. So I worked there. Finally got a job with the state and started working as a hearing officer, unemployment hearing officer. Basically just listening to, I had 5 cases a day.
What is an unemployment hearing officer? What do you have to do?
Someone typically gets fired or they quit, they will file for unemployment. Okay, so I am the person, if the company pushes back, like, no, we're not giving them unemployment because they got fired for whatever, and we can prove that they got fired for this. So it was my job, to ask them, do you want a hearing? And if they said yes, I would listen to their side. I'd listen to the employer's side, and then I made a decision as to whether they were going to get their unemployment or not.
Really? So it was up to you?
Yes.
How
These are the cases that, like I said, where the employer pushed back. Okay.
So going back to what you said earlier, you said when you were little that you were going to help black men. Mm-hmm. Do you represent more men than women?
What with the unemployment or just in general? In general. Yes. Now I'm a general practitioner. So my top areas of practice are immigration, criminal, family, personal injury, and probate. Okay. I also do business contracts. But those are my top 5. Now, what's crazy is when you talk about, if we break it down, immigration is 50-50. Criminal, yes, it is definitely more men. It is definitely more black men than anything that I represent in criminal law. Family law, I think I might represent more men in family law. Issues with child support or divorces, custody. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. Let's get into it because you took us there. Let's get into it. I had a comment on that last video that we did.
Okay.
Very interesting one. I want to read it too. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
And I am still shocked while you're looking for that. I'm just going to say people still call me. I literally got a call last week off of the expungement interview. Yeah.
Okay. So this woman
Okay.
says, I have to respectfully disagree. And this is about the statement I made about the video I did about child support before we did part two.
Okay. Gotcha.
She says, I have to respectfully disagree with the statement that child support is stacked against men. Child support is stacked against the parent without primary custody. This is the facts. I'm reading word for word what she said. Women pay child support too, and I'm just adding this because the statements almost suggest that if you're a woman, they may take it easier on you. This is simply not the truth. That was her comment. How do you feel about what she said?
So I'm speaking from Tennessee law.
Okay.
In Tennessee, I would have to disagree with that comment because men in Tennessee don't have rights until they petition the court. When a child is born to mom's the one giving birth. If dad wants any actual rights, dad has to petition the courts. Hey, I want some time with my kid. Because Tennessee's already decided the primary residential parent is the mother. Automatically. It's automatic. Okay? Now, to her point that women do pay child support, that is true. But guess when that is? That's when you have a father that's come in, filed a petition, and is fighting for his rights to see his child. Okay? Now, I will say this. Davidson County now is very good about giving dad 50-50 parenting time. They believe dad should have 50% parenting time if he wants it. This has not always been the case. That changed in around 2008. Okay, so we're not talking about even 20 years ago. So there are situations, and I've had clients, they petition the court because mom had custody. Mom's primary parent automatically. Dad has to file a petition. Dad files a petition. Dad is listing everything that mom's not doing for the kid. Courts didn't have a choice. We got to give primary residential parent to the dad because mom's over here not doing anything. Mom may not have a place to stay. Mom doesn't have a job. How are you taking care of this child financially? Where dad has a job, he got a house, and they got to show all this. They've got to show all of this, right? And at the end of the day, it's the best interest of the child standard is what Tennessee goes off of. It's TCA 36. I think 1, maybe 110. Don't quote me on that, but it's TCA 36. It's a best interest of the child standard. So in Tennessee, they don't care really about if it's the mom or the dad after the dad petitions. And if he can prove if the child is with me, it's in his best interest, he's going to get the child. Really? And then everything flips. So now mom has to pay child support.
How I gave her right because this was my response to this woman.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm. And before I'll tell you this, it is very hard. It is still very, 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 very hard for a father to get primary residential parent. It's hard.
Is that anywhere or just in Tennessee?
From what I have seen and heard, I've got some family members that are attorneys in Texas, Arkansas, and I know for sure in those 2 states. Okay. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to say I know for a fact, but California, I know it's the same way, but they do a lot of stuff. They really try to do 50-50 there, but in California? In California, you go out there and get married, automatic, you're getting, from what I've seen and heard. But so I know Georgia, all your contiguous states around Tennessee, the laws are primarily the same. Okay. Also in Texas, so Arkansas. So from, I know in the South and and Illinois, Midwest, yes, they favor the mom. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that it stays that way because, like I said, if you can demonstrate this mother does not have the child's best interest, then they will change it because at the end of the day, it's supposed to be about the child.
But that doesn't happen. Like what she was saying I said, my reply was, thanks for watching. While I understand what you're saying, only 10% of child support cases are paid by women. Since the other 90% are men, that's why we say it's skewed in women's favor. Right. So if it's that, I saw one video where this guy was an attorney here actually, and he was talking about that if you get a woman pregnant, you should just go ahead and put yourself on child support. I mean, has it gotten to that point where you should just go ahead and put yourself on child support?
This is the reason. The reason being, you get a woman pregnant. Y'all don't live together. And you may be a good dad. You know, you're giving money when she asks for it. You're asking to see your son. You know, y'all are doing exchanges. But if you haven't petitioned the court, none of that counts. So if she decides, let's say the child is 15. No, even one better, because I have a case like this. Child is 17. Mother decides to file for child support against the father. The child is literally a year away from being an adult. She files when the child is 17. Father has been being a good dad. He didn't realize he was supposed to be keeping records of every receipt. Correct. 17 years. And how do they calculate that back child support? They look at what your current child support would be times however many months. You're screwed.
Yeah, he's going to jump off a bridge.
And that's when men go crazy. Because they're like, I've been a good father all these years. You got mad for whatever reason. Now you're filing a petition. And because I don't have proof that I've been giving you this money, they are not going to count it.
That's exactly what happened to me. Exactly what happened to me. Thank God my daughter's 27 and grown now. But when she wasn't, that is exactly what happened to me. And
but that goes back to what I said. Men do not have rights unless they petition the courts. Unless they petition. So when the attorney said, go ahead and put yourself on child support, go ahead, file that petition and start getting that record in. Because you don't have it until you do that.
What percentage do you think of men that you deal with are actually good men? They are trying to do the right thing. Now, do you think that you are dealing with mostly the good guys or the ones, because it seems like that the ones that get penalized are the ones who are actually trying to do a good thing?
I'm not always, but I was just about to say that. You know what the problem is? The good ones out here trying to do the right thing. They coming forward. I'm gonna take my responsibility. The bad ones, I can't find. They can't find them. And so you got a mom coming to court, and I see it all the time. The judges say, well, we can't do anything until we serve him. There's absolutely nothing we can do. If we can't find him, we can't serve him, we can't bring him into the system. Boom.
So if you want to beat child support, then you might as well just be a deadbeat.
Correct. And keep a lewd in the system.
But then you can't, because if you're a good guy, that means you have a good job and you don't want to risk losing your job, but then you get a good job.
You want to be a good father. You want to be in your child's life. So the good ones do get screwed a lot of times, especially if they are dealing with a jealous ex that doesn't like the fact that they may be excelling now. They may be happy in another relationship. I see that a lot. And I'm just like, this isn't, and I always tell, and I coach, because I have female clients, and some of my female clients are great mothers. Not some, most of them. Both sides. Great parents. There's situations where both sides are great parents. They're disagreeing about minor things. Those cases, okay, you know. But you do have some, and I have some clients that are females where it's like they're doing everything and they just need some help. And you got dad over here who, let's say they've served them, and you have the situations where he just not gonna act right. But then, same time, I tell mom, because a lot of times, and I'm probably gonna catch a lot of heat for saying this, they give in. They decide, well, I don't want him to go to jail. I don't want to, so then they back off.
But does making them go to jail solve anything? Because they can't pay anyway.
My thought is they can't pay anyways. They not paying. Put them in jail. I mean, what are they doing? They're not doing anything. They're not trying to do anything. I'm talking about the ones that aren't trying to do anything. It makes no sense for you to put a father or a mother in jail that's trying to do something. Why would you do that? I'm talking about the deadbeats.
Do you think is there? Because I don't know, but this is something that I hear in all the man circles. Are there men who are actually spending time with their kids but don't have any money?
Yes.
And so, should they be penalized and not be able to spend time with their children simply because they don't have any money?
No, and the court system doesn't say that.
But
so
if you don't have any money, you'll get sent to jail.
So what they've got now, had a client, lost his job, good father, taking, was doing the exchanges, just couldn't pay the child support. So what did the courts do? They made him, hey, you have to show us where in a month you have gone and submitted 10 applications. You have to show us you're at least trying to get a job. You do that, we're not going to put you in jail. If you don't do that, well, you're not trying, you're going to jail. So they are now trying to, okay, look, we're trying, but you got to show that you're making an effort to get a job. Just the woe is me, no, they're not going for that. But this is now. And when I tell you now, I mean in like the last 3 years.
Well, I being someone who's on here on YouTube, and I get so many of these comments, I have to play devil's advocate sometimes. With me, my daughter, I had to pay child support for many years, and it was for my daughter, and that was it. And it was like $600 a month. And I picked her up and took her to school every day, and she came home with me, and then I would take her to her mom's house, and she would spend every other weekend with me. And like I did everything. So when I hear men,
oh, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. When I hear men complaining, I'm usually like, dude, I really don't give a fuck about you complaining, because as men, we have a responsibility. And you should handle your responsibility. I handle mine. I didn't cry about it. I did what I was supposed to do and was above and beyond that. And it's still a good father with my daughter. Even though she's in Arizona, we still talk. But a lot of these men, I feel like, are complaining about shit that they shouldn't be complaining about. Especially when I hear cases of these dudes that really only have to pay like $20 or $50 or $100, and I'm like,
don't realize, and the mothers don't realize, especially in Tennessee, it's not like it used to be. They changed the whole child support model. It's based off of both parents' incomes.
Really?
It's an income shares model.
That's not how it was.
Oh, I know. I know. It changed, I want to say, in maybe 2008 or maybe later, but no. So now it is a computer system. Both parties have to put in their income. And if one party comes in, let's say mom comes in. I had this happen. I got my client. He's working full time. Mom's like, well, I don't have a job. I'm like, she's capable of working. There's nothing wrong with her. She's voluntarily unemployed. The judge said, I'm imputing her income. You're not going to put your income at zero. So there are guidelines, child support guidelines, not federal, Tennessee, where I think The mother's income now is like maybe imputed is like 30,000 a year.
And what does imputed mean?
It means that if you can't show proof of your income, we're going to impute your income at the guideline standard for Tennessee as to what we feel like is going to represent something that is in the best interest of the child. You're not going to get away with your income being zero on this worksheet. We're going to put your income at, I think it's between 28 and 30,000 a year for a female. Since men typically make more, if a man says the same thing, has no proof of income, we're imputing your income at I think 36, 37,000 a year. Okay? Those are the numbers that go in, not zero. You're not getting away with, oh, I don't have a job, when you are probably maybe working under the table or doing something else. You may not be reporting your income. You have it, and you think because you don't have a pay stub, I can walk in here and say, they're not doing that anymore. No. Both parties, they put the income down. From there, the next step on the worksheet, and this is a computer system. This is not the judge coming up with a number. So you have your incomes. Then they look at how many days you each have the child. That's why it's so important. I tell men all the time, file the petition to get parenting time. Even if it's the standard 80 days, which is every other weekend, 2 weeks in the summer, split the holidays, right? At least do that so they'll have 80 days beside your name versus 30. Okay? Because you can't prove that you got the kid more than 30 overnights. And okay, because every 10 days over that standard 80 lowers your child support. So if, let's say, both parents are making $45,000 a year and they each have the child 182.5 days a year, because that equals to 365, guess what their child support number is? 0.
Because they're both spending the money equally throughout the year.
Correct.
How often does that shit happen?
A lot.
Really?
When the father petitions.
How often does the father petition?
See, a lot of fathers don't know to do that. They think because they're going to child support court that also means that they're going to get a parenting plan. No, those are two separate petitions. So child support, the state will swoop in, and mom has gone, to the state and said whatever, and they'll swoop in and file a petition against dad for child support. They don't do the parenting plan. So dad is thinking, and I see this 99% of the time. They're like, they taking child support, but I still can't see my kid. My first question, did you file a petition for parenting time? No, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. They don't have to give you any time. They don't have to, they're not going to come up with a parenting plan for you. Okay, now some courts will just automatically put that father at 80 days, even though there's no parenting plan. But if dad files a petition, hey, I want to see my kid 4 weeks out of the summer. I want the summer. I want 4 weeks in the summer. I want the split holidays. I want, every other holiday, split the breaks. And I want every other weekend. He's already over 100 days. Easy.
Why don't they tell guys that?
Don't tell them that.
So
they're not, because they claim that's legal advice.
Okay. But
I'm not saying it's right. It just
understood, and that's why I'm asking you, because you would know. I get a lot of comments from men saying things like, the attorneys work for the system and the system is rigged against men, so you would be better off not even hiring an attorney because they're not actually even working in your best interest. They're working in the best interest of the state. So there's no point. You would be better off going and representing yourself because the attorneys don't have your best interest at heart.
a lot of times I see those comments because they don't understand child support is based off of a computer system, and there's nothing that I can do or anybody else. We plug the numbers, it spits out a number. Here's your child support. There is nothing. And I've had clients mad at me. Why is my child support so high? Literally. And I show them the computer worksheet. This is what we did. There's nothing I can do with that. That's the law. So then they're mad because they're like, well, what was the point of hiring you? The point of you hiring me is because what I'm going to tell you is we're going to file this petition to get you some parenting time to bring that child support number down. Now, I can't say what other attorneys are doing. Okay, but I know when you hire me, the first thing I'm telling you is we need to file a petition for parenting time and to establish parentage. If you do not have that in place, they don't have to give you parenting time. They don't have to put that number at 80 days.
Let's say that child support is something that was created for the best interests of the child.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say if that's what it's for. Let's just figuratively say that child support is supposed to be something made for the best interests of the child. Wouldn't it be in the child's best interest for the state to make the father aware of everything that he has at his disposal to be able to spend as much time with the child as possible so that the child has an even balance of mothers and father in their life?
Probably.
Why does that not happen?
Because it's not part of the law. And child support attorneys are not going to do it, and they cannot give legal advice. And that is considered giving legal advice. If they turn to said father and say, hey, what you need to be doing is filing a petition for parenting time. They can't do it. They'll get in trouble. One, and I've had child support attorneys itching, wanting to tell. They can't. They can't.
But then doesn't that lend credence to the fact that people think that the system is rigged? Because if so, the system is rigged.
I mean, it leads credence to that. It's not in that sense.
I'm not trying to get you disbarred.
Right. But at the same, I could see why people think that because they're not given the information and they don't know. And so they're like, what?
But the only way you can know is if you pay somebody.
Unfortunately, or if you got a friend that went through it and, you know, can give you the step by step.
That seems kind of fucked up. A little bit.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. You don't have to hire an attorney to file that petition. If you know about the petition for parenting time, you can go to the clerk's office, and guess what that clerk's going to do? Help you fill out that petition. But they're not going to offer it to you. You got to go down there and know what you're talking about. Hey, I need the petition for parenting time and established parentage. Then they'll be like, oh, boom. Okay, this is what you need to fill out right here. They're going to show you what to fill out. But they're not going to just offer. You got to go down there and know what you're talking about. Yep.
And I know again, I have to be devil's advocate because when I got divorced, I had to do it all myself. I didn't have any money for an attorney. I wasn't going to hire you because you were going to be too expensive. I think I talked to you about it. And I was like, yeah, nah, I can't do that.
I remember. I remember.
I'm like, nah, it's all right. It's all right. Attorney Mance be wanting too much money. But I'm just, you helped me with other things. And I was at that point, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't have time. I'm just going to pay Attorney Mance to do this, whatever she got to do. But yeah, for my divorce, I had to know all of that stuff. And I had to go down to that clerk's office. And that damn clerk's office is a wealth of information.
It sure is.
They will tell you so much shit and give you so much shit to fill out and set your ass over on that little table over there to the left and fill that out.
Back to me and I'm going to check. Right. They sure will.
That was one time. Mm-hmm. But they didn't even have the form I needed, and they gave me a blank piece of paper and told me what to write and had me write the whole thing that I needed to write on that piece of paper. And then they signed it and I signed it and it was done. So there is, while I have to play devil's advocate, there's really not an excuse, especially in this day and time when we all have Star Trek in our pockets and we can literally know anything.
So Google is amazing.
Is it not? So, okay, having said all that,
Mm-hmm.
Being a black man myself, and being a black man that has not always been on the path I'm on right now, gotten in plenty of trouble. You helped me clear my record and all that shit. Why do you think that we as black men are still having so many problems navigating the child support system, the legal system, having the ability to talk to an attorney, even the free attorneys, that the
And not to cut you off, this is an easy one because I've asked several men, what is the problem? Why? Fear.
of
One, the biggest thing I hear, because no one has educated them on, this is the process, this is how this is actually going to go. They're going off of word of mouth, what they heard, without knowing the details. Everyone thinks everyone's case is the same, and that is never the case. A lot of times your homeboy is not telling you the complete truth. Okay? They're telling you what's going to make them look good, or they're telling you what's going to make whoever look bad. It's never the whole truth. It is fear of going to jail. It is fear of being locked up for child support. It's fear of, I want to go there and try to get my record expunged, but I don't want them to, because there's no education. And one thing I'm going to say, I commend Davidson County has been doing more clinics to educate everybody, not just black men, on how to get your record expunged, what to do so you won't get in trouble, and we really need that for child support. We don't have it, and it's needed because men are so scared. And because I was asking a young man the other day, man, I'm scared of being put on child support. My child support's going to be blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, it's not. If you file this petition, you're a good father, you're in Davidson County, there's a good chance you're going to get 50-50. We can calculate what your child support's going to be. Okay? Now, there's also situations where I will tell them after we've calculated it, don't go.
really
Because they're making more than they were when they first went down there, and they're trying to modify. Here's the problem. When you file that petition for parenting time, it also kicks in modifying the child support, which means guess what they're going to ask for? New income verification. So, and I will run all different scenarios. Let's say, okay, with your new income, you got 50-50. Damn. I'm still paying $500 more than I am right now. Fuck it. Never mind. I'm not even going to touch it. Yeah, you may not want to touch it for financial reasons, especially if the mom is allowing you, if you all co-parent very well. Now, if you don't co-parent well and you want to see your child, there's nothing else you can do. Bite the bullet, get your time. Because at the end of the day, like you said, isn't it in the best interest to have both parents? Yes. And if you're a good parent, you want to be in that child's life. So most of the time, the good parents, they will bite the bullet. Because I want to see my son. I want to see my daughter. She's not going to keep trying to scare me with, I'm going to put you on child support. I'm going to go put myself on child support. And then here's the other thing with child support. This is going to sound terrible. You don't have to give her anything else other than child support. She can threaten you all day. Well, he need it. Nope, I gave you child support. That's all you have to do.
So why do we see so many videos? And I'm pretty sure some of these are just skits, but there are a lot of videos out there of women getting upset at men for not giving them, or doing, like saying, my kid needs shoes. The father will say, I gave you money for child support. And the mom will say, it don't matter. He still need these shoes right now. And the men will be like, well, what did you do with the child support money? That ain't got nothing to do with it. He needs it. And women will back that woman saying, you should go ahead and buy your son some shoes. And men are thinking, well, hold up. Isn't that what the child support is for?
Exactly what the child support is for. That's exactly what the child support is for. And the judge, if she tries to go to court, is going to say, no. What are you doing? Then they're going to turn to her. What are you doing with the money?
So...
And here's the thing, and I am not saying, let's say a dad, for example, they got 50-50. The child support amount that he has to pay is $80 a month. What is that going to do for a child? Not a lot. Let's be real. So if it's a situation like that, she probably is pissed off. All I'm getting is $80 from you a month. Are you serious? That's not even enough for a week of groceries. Like, what can I do with that? So the frustration is real because yeah, he's paying child support, but you see it's only going so far. Unfortunately, just like it works both ways. The system clearly has its issues. He don't have to give you any more money if he don't want to. And the state's not going to make him give you any more money. So I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's fair. The system is set up to be equitable, not fair. It's a difference.
That is a very, very wise statement.
Mm-hmm.
Equitable, but not fair. Wow. That is huge. So are the things that you are saying also does that go along with a marriage or divorce, or are these mostly with people who are not married who just had a kid together?
Correct. So when it comes to, like, let's say you're married and you get a divorce,
which seems like everybody's doing nowadays.
Tennessee is right. I don't know if we're in the top 5 or top 10 of states.
For divorce.
Oh yeah, I think we're over 50%.
It's ridiculous.
The divorce rate is insane.
Right.
So let's say, you're married, you have kids, the kids are both of y'all's, okay. You all get a divorce 10 years later. File for a divorce. Someone files for a divorce. Number 1, I always tell my male clients and female clients, during the divorce process, stay in the house.
Because the clock starts for the back pay from the moment you move out.
Go in a separate room. Do something. Stay in that house. If you just can't, fine. But just know, she is then going to do what? File for spousal support. Spousal support is for child. They'll say pending litem support is what it's called. Temporary support while the divorce is going on because he has moved out. We've still got these bills. I've got the children. And the courts are going to say, yeah, sir, you got to pay her $600 a month right now for that temporary support. You moved out of the marital residence where you could have stayed. And we wouldn't be talking about this. But here we are. Sometimes it's not healthy to stay in the house. So I get it. You got to go. But know that temporary support is coming. Whoever leaves the marital home, the party that stayed can file for that temporary support.
Marriage is scary. It really, I mean, love is great, but divorce is not. Like nobody, I was in court all day, and I didn't hear one person ask for their love back. No. They all asked for their money back. They all wanted money, and right. It's so weird. The person that you married is not going to be the same person you divorced. And I I want to find a woman that loves her like as much as anybody else, but it's scary as hell. Especially as it does seem like men get screwed in divorces, not simply because of the way the laws. I would also wager because men are doing some kind of dumb shit nowadays, like some really dumb shit.
And then the one thing I hear from a lot of my male clients is, so you mean to tell me, since I moved out, I'm trying to survive. I got my own bills at this apartment, and I gotta help at the. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Even if the woman is working.
Yes. Because when they were in that home together, and you better hope she was working.
Because if she was a housewife,
It's a phrase my father used to say, and it cracked me up. It's cheaper to keep her. Cause man, when they alimony is real, and unlike child support where it's a computer system, alimony is the judge deciding the amount.
So
There's no.
so that's just purely up to the judge's perception of the relationship. So if you get a real asshole judge, you're just gonna get fucked over that day.
You just might, because they look at, now there's certain factors you look at for alimony. How long was the marriage? Who was at fault? And it may just be irreconcilable differences. It may not be, an at fault marriage. But to get alimony, it has to be an at fault. It has to be a fault. Okay. So who was at fault? Your education background, your work background, of course, your incomes, ages of the parties. And the reason they take that in consideration, because if you're a young couple that's only been married 3 years and you get a divorce, you probably not getting no alimony. Right. It just not. Because you can go back out there. You 35. Yeah. If you're 60 and you've been married 25 years.
Might as well just go ahead and just reach in your pocket and give her everything.
Keep her.
You ain't getting shit. You're not even getting your pension, your social security, all that shit's going to her.
A portion at least.
Retirement. Investments, annuities.
I'm laughing, but you're absolutely correct.
All of that shit goes to her.
So,
what does the woman give up in a divorce?
Well, I've had clients where the woman was the breadwinner and she ended up paying alimony.
How often does that happen?
You asked, I just gave an example that it happens.
And trust me, I'm not complaining.
Same thing with the child support. It's not the,
I'm not, I have to.
But it doesn't happen often because typically the society we live in, who takes care of the kids, who stays at home, typically head of the household is the man, the wife is at home. So no, it does not happen as often where.
You had a little eye rolling in that statement. Do you agree with that gender norm?
Do I agree? Honestly, I don't care. I'm just saying, like, this is the norm, blah, blah, blah. I've never really thought about, like, do I agree with it or not?
You're
I will,
successful.
yeah, but not to just tell all my personal business, but I will say this. If I made more than my significant other, for me, and I guess it's the way I was brought up, and I look at my father. My parents have been married for 46 years. My father has always said, I am the head of the household, but your mother is the neck and what controls the head. She has a level of respect for him. He is the head of the household, and if there's a disagreement, it was never in front of us. They go, hey, this is what it is, da-da-da-da-da, but he respected her as much as she respected him.
Agreed.
But he was the head, and at the end of the day, if they didn't agree, last word was my father's. But my father also lived by happy wife, happy life. So, and that would have to be something serious because my mom is so laid back and reasonable. Like, so it would have to be something she's just like gung-ho on. But so I go back to say what I said as far as if I'm making more than my spouse is in a third, I still want him to lead. I still want to follow. People asking that all the time. You this, you. At the end of the day, I want to be able to come home and I have to make a decision. Man, I want my man to be like, okay, this is what we're doing. Great. I can sit my happy ass right here and be quiet.
I can agree with that.
I am not the independent woman that's going to tell you I don't need no man. That's not coming out my mouth. Well, that ain't...
I don't think anybody doesn't need... Oh, time for refill. Hold on. Pause, guys. The queen needs a drink.
Look, man. Thank you. Thank you.
This just over this way, just so I can see your face a little bit more.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, that looks good.
Mm.
So yeah, I agree with that. I think a king that chooses a queen that he can't rely on for helpful information is a dumbass king. I mean,
Correct.
right? Your queen's supposed to be able to be smart enough to tell you something useful.
And you actually listen to what she has to say. You know what I'm saying? You may not agree. That's fine, but at least listen. I see a lot of men who, and I know we're getting kind of off subject now, but the whole submissive, they don't understand that word.
I don't think a lot of people understand that word, men or women.
And I would agree.
And I think let's we can pause. We can get back to the law because all this is actually part of it, because all of these misconceptions is what leads to all the fucking divorces. I am and have been of the thought that most of this shit is men's fault. And I say that not to be a Derek Jackson simp ass dude. I'm not trying to be that. But I say it because the same men that ask for submission are the same men that say that women are beneath them and that they're the ones who are here to rule everything. Okay, well, if the woman is not on your level, if you are superior to the woman, let's just say that's true. Okay, well, you don't ever hear any king going around and blaming the negative state on his kingdom on the people that he governs. He blames it on himself. And so if his kingdom is fucked up, no one's going to blame anyone but the fucking king. So if these men are going around begging for submission but saying that the women are fucked up, well, whose fault is it? If you are the ones who are supposed to lead the community and the community is fucked up, it's your fault.
Are you giving as a leader?
Agreed.
And I say this all the time because I get sick and tired of you independent, you just don't want to listen. No. I need to be able to listen to a man that I respect and is giving me an example to follow. I know still respects my opinion and will listen to me versus I'm the man, this is how it goes. And then we gonna bump heads all the time. You come at me like that, I'm definitely gonna shut down. You know, I am an alpha female. And I need surprise. And I need an alpha male. And if that alpha male doesn't know how to truly be an alpha male, which means respecting his queen, and leading her, then it's not gonna work.
When you say alpha male, what do you mean? What categorizes a man to be an alpha male in your mind?
Decision maker, or knows how to at least make a decision or have an opinion versus, I don't know, you decide. I don't care. Like,
so are most men that you've dealt with, because I hear a lot of women saying things like men are inconsistent, men don't make decisions, men are not worthy of my respect because they don't give it to me. I hear a lot of these same complaints. A lot of men don't know how to wash their asses. Like, I hear a lot of, I've heard a lot of crazy complaints, but the same thing is, a lot of these women who have these complaints, there are a lot of women across the board who have the same complaints. So is this something that is real, or is this something that just people just saying this to have an argument?
It's real, but I would also add alpha men have a plan. I'm not saying that an alpha man, at no point will you hear me say an alpha man is a man that's just balling. He got all the money. He buys me everything. No. There's a plan. Okay? And he knows what his plan is. He knows he can look into the future and decide, this is where I'm trying to go. This is where I want us to be. I want us to be a team. There's a plan in place. He's discussed this plan with his, I don't know, better half, whatever you want to say, spouse, whoever he's decided he wants to be with. And that's something else. When it comes to relationship, an alpha male will eventually decide who that person is he wants to be with. Okay? They will make a decision. Back to decision making.
The decision on that, and not just be 50 in the club.
Lord, and some and I'll tell you this, because I've run into a lot of men, and the first thing in my mind when I hear this is they'll ask what I do, and I'll say I'm an attorney. Oh, so you think you? And I immediately just shut down, because at that point I know you've already told me you're intimidated.